You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Adler and Jonesy in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cantina Cast. My name is Howard Padilla, and this is the Waystation, your source for Star Wars news and rumors. Today is July 9th, 2023, and although it's a lighter week for news, there are a little bit, we've got some tidbits in here that I think are very interesting. In fact, we may even be talking about some Ahsoka speculation, which I think people are already talking about in the chat. And joining me tonight is none other than Texas himself, Jonesy. Jonesy's with us. How are you doing tonight, Jonesy?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I had me some barbecue earlier today, so I'm in good shape.
You're all in that Texas mood, man. Yeah, we had some, we actually had a chance to have lunch together, and I spent a lot of money on barbecue, like a lot of, it was like $60 all in for my plate of barbecue. But it was like ranked, what was it, like the number three barbecue.
Top 3 for Texas, yeah.
For Texas back in 2021, according to Texas Monthly Magazine. Really good barbecue. So, yeah, I'm with you too. Like, you know, there was like free beer of all places of things too, which surprised you didn't take advantage, but I would thought you would have.
Yeah, neither one of us, took part in that. But yeah, it was really interesting that while you wait, you can have a Lone Star, which is the national beer of Texas, which is not good, but whatever.
Yeah.
But in all fairness, though, you bought $60 worth of barbecue, but you were bringing a lot home with you. Like, we did not spend $60 each on barbecue because that's a lot of food.
I think I could have eaten it all, to be honest, but
it was pretty delicious, not gonna lie. Well, hey, you know who else is delicious, Albert?
Oh my gosh. Let's see. Pizza the Hut. Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
There you go. Yeah, all of the above. Our amazing Patreon members, especially Connor and Steph. Connor just joined, of course, at the I Care tier, and Steph did an upgrade. So one last final shout out for them. Welcome and thank you for the upgrade. And of course, our now part of the tribe members, Rob, Mike, Lauren, Dante, Risk, Justin Jackson, Sharkman, Dan, Daz, Isabella, Uncle Leon, Josh, Jacob, Steve, and Reader Reborn. And then our Delusions of Grandeur members, Alex, Rod, and CJ. Thank you all so much. If you are curious about Patreon, and tonight we've got another doozy of a show. We've got the top 3 moments from Rebels Season 2. No idea how we're going to get 3 top moments, and that there's going to be about 24 honorable mentions. But if you are curious about that, cantinacast.com/Patreon is your place to find out all about that. You can listen to the audio, or you can actually join us on the live stream at 10 p.m. Central tonight, where Dante and Alex will actually join us, and as well as Lauren will join us as well. So really excited about that one. Season 2 was really, really good because, quite honestly, it's just like the best 24 moments of Hondo.
You've already been warned, right? I think we warned you earlier this week, but
right.
Yeah, and if you're with us on the live stream, you're at cantinacast.com/YouTube, or you're visiting YouTube. But don't forget, all of our live shows are streamed at that website, or I'm sorry, at that address. What else do we got? We got anything else? What do we got plugging? You got to plug something here.
Yeah, we do. Lots of great things to plug after. Of course, we have the Pharmaceutical Point of View tonight, but also Lauren released her Jedi novel archive for Inquisitor: Rise of the Red Blade. Ooh. So her spoiler, oh my gosh, is it like a detailed spoiler review? I can't remember. Lauren, please correct me. But but you can go out there and watch that right now. She's got it. I think she always gives us like a spoiler free and then gives us a little more detail on that. But the embargo lifted on the 5th. So she does a bit of a high-level review, and I know she's going to come back and do a more detailed review, is typically what she does as well. So clearly I am behind on watching YouTube. My apologies, Lauren. But yeah, so it's just a sneak peek. There you go. So light spoilers maybe, but again, she had a lot of positive things to say about it with me. We were kind of texting back and forth, and she thinks I'll like it. So that's encouraging because I'm apparently a really difficult person to please.
I was going to say, you don't like anything. That's not true. You're not
right. I'm almost done listening to Path of Vengeance. I'm so close to the end of it, and then I'm going to switch right into Inquisitor: Rise of the Red Blade. So I will be there right with y'all soonish. But I'm going to do the audiobook just to get that different flavor, because we got some different readers this time around with the audiobook. So it's a lot different than just kind of your standard Mark Thompson for the most part.
Yeah, Delilah Dawson's been pretty solid across the board with her Star Wars novels. So I think that's probably a good sign as well. And let's see, I think that might be all that we have, at least for the business. Let's get into.
Well, I got a PSA for people.
Oh,
so
okay.
you
What
can
is
see
that?
this little figure right here is Indiana Jones from Club Obi-Wan. And
Oh yeah.
if you collect figures, or if you're just interested in wanting a little something for your shelf, and you have a Target near you, go check your Target to see if they have Indiana Jones figures on clearance, because I happened to be at one today and noticed that the little 3 and 3/3, as well as the 6-inch figures, one place they were marked 30% down, and another place they were marked 50% down. So instead of paying $25 for that figure, you can get it for about $12.50, and the other ones are like $5. So if you like a little something on your shelf, something to adorn your collection, and you live near a Target, you might just stop by on the way home one day and just see what they got.
Yeah, that's a great deal. Those are very inexpensive. I won't call them cheap, but they're inexpensive. That's for sure.
For what you have to pay these days, yeah. But anyway, so just figured little PSA for folks that don't know how long that'll last for.
Yeah. So we're going to kick things off with a story that we kind of brought up, I guess, earlier this week. We were talking about, last weekend we were in the midst of Essence Fest, which I think you and I had both said we had never really been, privy to or witnessed. And I think this was the second or third time they had done this. It was going to be like an all weekend event thing. A lot of rumors flying around that we were going to get some kind of Ahsoka sneak peek or new footage. We were anticipating this. I think it made sense. I don't think you and I ever said we'd get a trailer, because they wouldn't do a trailer here, right? But
right.
We were anticipating something, and then Sunday came, and of course Rosario Dawson was a part of Essence Fest. She's coming out in Haunted Mansion, and everything was lining up, and we got nothing. It was like dead silent all day Sunday. Monday came around, we still didn't have anything, and we were really kind of scratching our heads, because everybody that had anything, I guess everyone that had good credentials in terms of rumors and that sort of thing, were saying that there was something lined up. There was something in the hopper, and it didn't happen. And I think now we have an explanation as to why that didn't happen. Maybe, maybe not. I think unofficially at least. But what did you find out?
So apparently Twitter, and this is kind of more in your wheelhouse, apparently Twitter, Elon Musk and company put a limit on how many views you could, or how many tweets you could view in a day or at a time. I don't know what this was. And it had a huge dependency on whether you were a verified blue or if you were a regular account too. And so I think some of the numbers I had seen tossed out there, at least at one point, I think they were raised, and it's unclear if there are any limits on the views right now, because there was a lot of backlash on this. But I think for normal free people accounts, I would think it was like 600 views or something, which on Twitter is basically like just 2 minutes of scrolling effectively, right? I mean, you're not going to get much in that time. And what was it for the blue members? It wasn't.
I don't even know. I think it was not unlimited, but it was.
Like
I was never impacted. Yeah, it was pretty high.
Yeah, so there's speculation that because that happened, or that was going into place, that Disney may have, had some hesitation about doing any kind of release. Now, the question I have for you about this, does that make any sense? I mean, from a advertising standpoint and not being able to get your message out to everybody at once, I understand that. But I got to be honest, I don't know how much Twitter is the primary consumption method for people to go find something and then go watch a video on YouTube. So do you buy this at all? Or do you think do you think this is a thing? I mean, Twitter is, so many things are going on with Twitter. It's really difficult. And we won't devolve into that discussion about just the landscape of Twitter right now, because it's a dumpster fire at times, more so than usual. But is there something to this to where if you were Disney, would you have hesitated and not released something until this kind of worked itself out and then come back around? Or do you think this is just kind of bogus?
Yeah, I don't know. So the short answer is it's hard to really kind of quantify this, because we don't know just what their reach is with Twitter. I'm sure at some point they looked at the numbers and looked at the data and said, and let me just kind of back up. So so if you were impacted, you suddenly got a message saying that you had hit your limit and you couldn't interact with tweets and stuff. And that is essentially what Twitter is. It's all about that interaction and the touch points with different folks and all of that, right? It all plays into the algorithms. It plays into how Twitter makes its money, et cetera, et cetera. So if you remove that, you basically have a platform that's kind of dead. It's not doing what it was intended to do. Twitter has millions and millions of people. I think it is like the second largest, next to Facebook, second largest social media platform. And so I think it maybe at some point they said, look, we have no way to quantify how many people are impacted. We don't know if this is how this will impact the media rollout. And, there's probably some equation that they've crunched numbers on, that if we can get to this many people on this particular platform, it's going to equate into this many viewers, right? I mean, they've got all this stuff down to a science. So from that regard, I would say, yeah, I mean, I think there's probably some truth in that this would look bad, or they wouldn't be able to get to the number of people they wanted to on this particular platform. And you can't take anything away from the platform. It is massive, and it is a place that I go to for all my, and I know you said this, but I'm actually one of these people. Like, I don't go to anything else but Twitter for all of my news, latest releases, because I can guarantee you, if you have the right people and you're following the right people in your circles, you will know the instant something comes out. Within seconds, it's like so spontaneous. And they've done a really good job of that stuff kind of bumping to the top of your feed. So I can see where, yeah, this kind of does maybe make sense in some regard. I just don't know. There's no numbers behind it for any kind of math that we have access to kind of really equate to it. So, and
the thing that doesn't make sense to me, though, is that this was supposed to be an event-specific release, right? So it was supposed to be at this event, and I know they simul stream this thing on like Hulu or something like that, and I don't know if it was intended that this would have been on that or not, because I mean, we've seen this with Celebration. Yeah, we're going to live stream Celebration, but you don't get everything, of course, right? So I didn't have any expectations we would get this on Hulu or something like that. I don't get Hulu anyway, so. But it just seemed weird to me that they wouldn't show it to anybody that was there within the context of that, because this all happened, I believe, on Saturday, which is when I think they had intended to release it. So it all happened really quickly and on top of each other. Now, granted, I'm sure Disney is very much on top of whatever's going on kind of across the board, especially in a marketing type of aspect and advertising. But that's the part that just, like, the timing was just really strange, that they didn't do any of it right away. But I totally get it. If you don't think you can get the entire reach that you feel like you need. But the thing that doesn't really make a whole lot of extra sense is, like, nothing has come out ever since.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, granted, it's only been about a week, just a little over a week, but there's been nothing, and there's no plan for it. And now I'm curious, are we just waiting until we get to kind of this 4-week mark when everything really starts to, everything starts coming out? They start having multiple TV spots, they have everything else.
Yeah.
So did they just decide to you know what, we'll just let this thing figure itself out. We'll come back here in a few weeks and redo it. Maybe we'll wait until the 6-week mark or whatever. But when do you think we would actually get this material? And do you think we'd even know that this was the material that was supposed to release at Essence Fest?
I think whatever's released at this point, someone's going to go back and say, oh, there it is. That's what we didn't get, Right. I mean, short of a trailer, again, I don't think it's a trailer. And to be clear, Disney wasn't banking the success of this show on this Essence release, social media release. I mean, that's not what I'm saying.
Right.
I think it would have helped, and I think they were kind of hoping that, that word of mouth would happen and that wildfire would catch on, it would go viral. We got to remember, it's so integrated into so many other things, other social media platforms, websites, news sources, right? So that it has downstream impacts of not being able to release something, or releasing something that doesn't work as expected to kind of capture the engagement that you want. That it's more than just Twitter, I guess is what I was saying. So I think maybe they just said, screw it, we'll just release it down the road here, maybe on a different platform, or maybe it comes in a little bit later. They roll it into features and stuff. Who knows what they would do with it at this point? Maybe they scrap it. Like I said, if they're not banking on it and they miss the window, rather than being an unsuccessful kind of rollout, just save it, right? Can it and then move on. We've got other things we got. I mean, there's so many trailers and so many TV spots that we're going to get here in short order. So plenty of other options, I guess.
Yeah, and I guess the thing is, if you've got if it was a sizzle reel or something like that, more behind the scenes stuff, then there's not a lot of urgency to be able to release that to the general public, unless you've got another situation like that. My other idea, though, is I think this maybe it'll be saved for San Diego Comic-Con. I think that's the other alternative, because we know that Star Wars will have a presence at San Diego Comic-Con. Yeah. We'll talk a little bit in more detail in this show about kind of the High Republic's presence, because the publishing side is the one that we know the most about. But maybe there would be something else with Ahsoka as well that could creep its way into that. That would just be a major event that's going on that they could slip something into if they really wanted to.
Yeah, that's a good point. That might make more sense, actually.
Okay, so in the Ahsoka space as well, and this is a little bit leak spoiler territory. So if you are sensitive to everything spoilerish about Ahsoka, and you know that we don't really do this on the show, and this is a very, very light spoiler, you've been warned.
And we talked about, like, Jonesy and I actually sat down at lunch and said, should we talk about this? And I think we both agreed that we would, because it's pretty nominal in terms of the spoiler, but maybe something worth talking about.
So what we won't do is we won't show pictures, but we will talk a little bit about it, because it's very basic. It's nothing really crazy. So anyway, you've been warned. So as you know, that Lego has been consistently the best source of leaked information for Star Wars, right? I mean, if you look at the Lego sets that are coming down the road in just a couple of months, those things start getting published, and you start to see characters, and you start to see ships and everything else. So you can start to piece some things together in that regard. And this is no different. So one of the August sets has come out as an Ahsoka set, of course, and it's the Ghost and Phantom 2 set, which of course is actually kind of exciting to have another Ghost and Phantom set coming out. Now, in that set is Jason Cidula. So we had theorized that Jason Cidula makes sense for him to show up with Hera, because he would be, we kind of figured this out at launch. We'll just call it 10 years old or so, just roughly, just to round it off a little bit. But in the Rebels show, he had green hair, right? So now in the Lego set, he does not have green hair. He actually has brown hair. And so there's your two spoilers. One, that it sounds like, yes, he might be in Ahsoka. And then two, he might be slightly different. And so they've modified the character a little bit to fit. I don't know why they would do something like this, to be honest with you. I don't know why hair color would be that big of a deal. I mean, maybe green wasn't showing up on the green screen or something. But
right.
Anyway, so that's about as spoilery as we get, I guess, on this show specifically, unless you want to do some After Dark stuff. But yeah, it does look like a really cool set, though. But it is cool to have Jason Cidula in there, but with brown hair.
So wait, which set was this that they talked about?
This is it's called the Ghost. So it's a set that's coming out in August, but it's got the Ghost as the ship, and it's also got the Phantom 2.
Oh,
that's actually removable as well.
Yeah, so I did pre-order that, and you can pre-order it on Amazon right now.
Right.
In fact, it was pre-ordered today, but Jason Cidula is not in the picture when on Amazon, so I don't know if they're keeping that under wraps. They'll probably update the image later. So, but just FYI, and I want to say it's like $160 or so. I think I paid $160, $170 for the whole set.
Sounds about right. Yeah. Usually these are, because I think this is it's well over 1,000 pieces, I believe. And it's a fairly good set. And it's got like 5 minifigs, I think, as well, in total. So it's not a bad, it's kind of a nice deal. The August sets are a little bit light this time around. There'll be some more towards the end of the year, but we'll actually I'll have a link out to the video that I found it on in the description. So when you get to this, you can go out there and take a look at it. He's actually got a lot of great shots. If you're a Lego fan, a lot of great shots in there. You can go in there and he talks a lot about it. And again, it's not so much from a Star Wars perspective. It's just from a Lego perspective, not from a, hey, we're trying to blow the internet in half by leaking Jason Cidula or something like that.
Yeah, I'm going to look that up while I talk here. But I guess oh no, he is in the picture. He's in there. I didn't catch him, but yeah, he's in there. So I guess it's no longer a spoiler at this point, because the Lego, it's out there on Amazon right now. So it's $160. It's going to release on September 1st, and it has a Chopper minifig along with the Jason Cidula minifig. He has brown hair. I mean, like, you don't like the brown hair, you want to go back to green. The cool thing is the Lego set. You pull the hair off, put some green hair on there, you're good, right?
Right.
Now, going back to why they would change this, I don't know. Like, even when the series wraps up and they're talking, and by the way, Alex hasn't even seen season 4, so sorry, dude, I'm already spoiling this. But they showed us Jason Cidula, who was a huge surprise for everyone. I think we talked about what's her face, the girl does Hera's voice, Marshall.
Vanessa Marshall.
Yeah, she was surprised that they didn't even tell her that they were going to have Jason Cidula in those final scenes that they had at the end of the series finale. But I mean, the green hair, I think, was just to make sure that it was so on the nose that he had green hair. Mom is a green Twi'lek, so maybe that's exactly why. That might have been the reason. And does it make sense now looking back? Like, I don't know. They probably were like, oh, wait, he would have probably inherited his dad's hair, which would have been brown hair. So they change it. Does it change anything? Does it impact anything? No. I think the lead here really is that we are getting Jason Cidula officially. In what capacity, I think, is probably the more intriguing thing, because he's been nowhere seen so far. And we don't know if he's going to be kind of this background character. I would imagine wherever mom goes, he goes, which would be an interesting dynamic to have him along with Hera and Chopper kind of doing their own thing in parallel with what's happening with Ahsoka and Sabine and Ezra. You know, we'll get into all of this as we get closer to Ahsoka, but I think that's the lead, right? We've got Jason Cidula officially in the series at this point, and it's just a matter of like, you know, how much is he going to be, a player? How much of a supporting character versus a main character is he going to be? Is he going to be force sensitive? Like, that's the question that I keep coming back to, because he's of the ripe age here, especially given the time to maybe go into the Jedi Order, or, you know, does he get identified? He knows Ahsoka. So again, there's all kinds of questions that lead from this, but the set's awesome. Can't wait for that too.
My guess is he's going to be force sensitive. And I guess, you know, if you go back to the green hair, maybe Sabine just dyed his hair for him. I mean, that's how
true.
we're going to explain this away, right? We don't know that he actually had green hair.
Yeah.
He could have had brown hair and she just spray painted it.
She spray painted it or dyed it. Yeah. She was practicing because she's been known to do that.
Yeah. And it's fun as a kid to have different color hair, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked a little bit. We'll move on from the spoilers. So thank you, everyone. You can unplug your ears now. So we talked a little bit about what was going on at San Diego Comic-Con, but we had a new High Republic show this week, of course. So Christina Ariel is back. And they had all sorts of information that's coming from this. So we want to share some of these things. I've actually got a screenshot here of a couple of them too, and I was not prepared.
That's okay. Hey, Music Train's got a question. I'll stall here. He says, does he look like a half Twi'lek? He does not. He looks like 100% human and like his dad, at least in the Lego figure, and in the final scenes there of the series, he looks like a human. He looks kind of like a mix. He looked a little bit more alienish with his eyes, I think.
He still look way more human than anybody
but
else.
he doesn't have like the mandrels or whatever they are.
All right, here we go.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
Yeah, so we've got a new cover for George Mann's The Eye of Darkness, which is absolutely brutal if you're a Loden Greatstorm fan, but absolutely epic just with the art here. The art, this is by Grant Griffin, by the way, the art on this cover. And this is amazing. Why don't you describe it for the good folks listening?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, you've got Markion Rowe sitting on his throne. He's got the leg going on, the thigh going on there, the thigh showing the thighs, you know, and I had posted something about this. Like, I actually posted a whole bunch of different pictures of people sitting in thrones in sexy poses on Threads, because I don't do Twitter anymore. But yeah, and like the big, you know, middle finger is the fact that he's sitting there holding Loden Greatstorm's lightsaber in his hand, which still just, you know, breaks your heart to see. But goodness, this is a beautiful cover. I cannot wait for this thing.
This is so cool. And so if you go out to StarWars.com, I'll have the link for the High Republic show as well. You can actually see the full description. It's like 3 paragraphs long, so I won't read it, but I am so excited for Phase 3 to come back. I mean, Phase 2 has been like good in spots of it, but I am just so ready to go back to like and finish the story that we started with Phase 1 with all these characters. We have so much invested. More of the descriptions and what's coming out for the comic books and things like that are all starting to, you know, to surface. We're going to get a lot more of this at San Diego Comic-Con here in just 2 weeks now, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's really exciting. But so this book, Eye of Darkness, comes out November 14th. It's going to be the first one to kick off the entire phase. I guess technically maybe there's one coming sooner. We'll talk about here in just a moment. But this is one, at least if you're a collector of books and covers, oh my gosh, this one is totally epic. The lightsaber in general is just, I mean, with the helmet and everything, is just so stellar. So
yeah.
This is really cool. And
this is like contender for best cover of the High Republic ever, honestly, in my opinion.
I'm with you, man. For kind of a cover A type of thing, for a regular cover,
right.
This is really impressive, because usually these types of really cool covers are reserved for some of the special ones, you know, where they
Goldsboro limited edition, or what is it? Not limited edition. What's it called? The out of print.
Yeah, out of print
versions.
editions. Yeah. So, but anyway, so super cool, super excited. I am liking though that he's got the yellow lightsaber, and of course Marta Rowe in Phase 2 has a yellow lightsaber that she got from a former Jedi. Oh, I'll just leave it at that.
Rest in peace, man. Rest in peace.
Yeah. In other news, though,
hey,
Birdie lives. So
worst kept secret in the world, and exactly. we told you that he lived. I don't know anybody that. Well, I don't know. There were some people that thought like he was dead, because they did frame it as though the chances of him surviving were approximately 3,720 to 1.
Right.
He did live, though, and I think we kind of knew that. Now, the big truth, and sorry, I don't want to steal your thunder, but how did he live? When will we find out?
Yeah, so we'll find out in the short stories book is going to be coming out at San Diego Comic-Con. They keep calling it first to market at San Diego Comic-Con. It's called Tales of Light and Life. And so it's a collection of short stories. I didn't get a chance to look this up to see when it's actually coming out to the rest of us. I imagine pretty soon after that. But again, this is a collection of short stories. Alyssa Wong is going to be telling stories in there as well. If you like the Dr. Aphra comic, then she'll be in there too. So it's really cool to be able to work her into High Republic type of material as well. And I'm really just stalling to give Albert time to go look this up.
September 5th. September 5th is when this is releasing. And you can purchase that for about $19-20 on Amazon right now.
Yeah, so there you go. So you can get about a 5 or a 6 week head start if you are at San Diego Comic-Con to be able to buy this book. But if you go by the booth there, you can pick up the book, but you can also pick up these pins. And so that's what this image is from. It's got Burryaga Lives, Star Wars: The High Republic, and it's got Burryaga holding a lightsaber, really just a silhouette there. But if you are a fan of Burryaga, which I think who's not a fan of Burryaga, right? Then this is something you're going to go out there and collect. But it's really cool. You're going to be able to get this really early on. Now we need to turn our attention to Buckets of Blood.
Yeah, no one's talking about Buckets of Blood, and I think we forget his sacrifice and what he did there at the very end. So I'm sure that will come out. I don't think Buckets of Blood is dead either, to be honest. But for Burryaga,
yeah, that one's harder though, because Buckets of Blood in the comics went chasing after or went looking for more Jedi to save from Starlight Beacon, and the levelers were still running rampant, and there were at least whichever ones were left. And then they have to leave, and he's stranded there. So it's very unclear. It's very possible he could live, but again, very unclear. But again, if Burry can live, this is the problem, though. Someone's got to die at some point, right?
Yeah.
Stellan Gios, who? Orla, who? These aren't really major characters.
Easy now, okay? So, some of us are a little still sensitive about that one.
Still a little sore, huh?
I can say, so I wouldn't give Buckets of Blood the same chance of living as Burryaga because of all, his environment was bad. And then even if he managed to just kind of navigate that, he still went down in a burning ball of flames in Starlight Beacon and crashed into the ocean where he probably drowned after that thing sunk down there or the pressure killed him. So there's many things going against him, but I think he lived. If Vader can live the crushing of Malachor Temple on, no, I'm kidding. We'll get into that later. Yeah, we'll get into that later. But yeah, so here's the thing though. So this is going to come out obviously before we get into phase 3 officially. Is Burryaga going to play a prominent role? I think we've seen some of the covers already, and they've shadowed out some of the characters. And I think there was I think there was 1 or 2 that had what we thought was a Wookiee looking Jedi. I think it's probably safe to say now that is Burryaga and that he will be featured. And so we're not going to have to wait, I guess is what I'm saying. We're not going to have to wait till the 3rd adult novel to find the fate out of Burryaga and have him be part of the main group. I think he's going to be that from the beginning. And that would be great because we've waited a freaking long time for that. So I'm looking forward to this Tales of Light and Life. It sounds like there are going to be some really great stories in here that kind of fill in the gaps and tie some things together from both phase 1 and phase 2.
Yeah, the interesting part will be how long does it take for Burryaga to reconnect with the rest of the Jedi within this year gap, right? So how long was it after Starlight? Was there several months, or was it better part of that year? Because I think that kind of matters, because we also know that we're getting a series of comic books. They've only released 1 cover and the rest are blacked out, kind of to your point. That is filling in the gaps of that year that happened between phase 1 and phase 3 starting here. So it might be interesting to see if he's going to be within those comics there and to get start to reset that stage. I would almost guess that some of that story will be told in those comics. It's just a pure guess on my part. That I have nothing to base that type of prognostication on, but it just feels like it. But something that we'll know a lot more about here pretty soon. Of course, San Diego Comic-Con, we talked about this. Lucasfilm is going to have a publishing panel on Friday, July 21st at 1 p.m. That's East Coast or West Coast time, right? So 1 p.m. Pacific.
Are they streaming that? Sorry.
I don't think so. At least they haven't said anything about it. But Justine Ireland will be there. Cavan Scott, Charles Soule, George Mann will be in attendance. Apparently there will be other of your Luminous authors and other authors in the High Republic. So this seems very focused on High Republic, which makes sense because they're going to want to start drumming this up and start getting the media machine for the books going here over the next several months. So that they'll have a publishing panel there. They're supposed to release a whole lot of information. Of course, the High Republic comic has already been announced that Cavan Scott is coming back to write that one, and that's going to start back up in December 2023.
Yep.
And the part that makes it worth mentioning is that it's apparently going to continue to be focused on Keeve Trennis as well.
Yes.
So Keeve Trennis is an amazing character, and so she will at least be a focal point, at least early on, but she was pretty much a focal point throughout the first High Republic volume. So I would anticipate that being much of the same here. So that was a really good run. I really enjoyed it. I kind of enjoyed it better than some of the Phase 2 stuff. There were some good moments in these, but I'm really excited for Kevin Scott to come back and write that one again because I think he did a really good job on it. But a lot more to come here in the next couple of weeks from San Diego Comic-Con. So it's kind of cool to have Star Wars back there. I'm not hearing anything else about anything beyond publishing, though, which is really weird for Comic-Con because you don't really equate San Diego Comic-Con with books. So it's a curious move by Disney Lucasfilm here and in the publishing side to approach San Diego Comic-Con in this way.
Yeah, I think especially since we're on the cusp of the Ahsoka release, like it seems like they would be doing something there, a panel of sorts, showing the sneak peek or some kind of a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive trailer, maybe not the full trailer, but just footage behind closed doors kind of thing. It is unusual that is kind of like the only footprint and presence that we're going to have. But that's not. I mean, here's the other thing too. I'd say is there are a lot of companies that have pulled back on San Diego Comic-Con as well. I mean, there's still some big players there, but a lot of folks have just, and we're seeing this in conventions all around, like E3. I think we talked about that as well. Yeah. So it just seems that seems to be, I guess, the direction that I'm starting to see, the trend that's happening with a lot of these bigger conventions. But yeah, it is kind of weird though.
The thing is, though, is that San Diego Comic-Con, while it's still the biggest, there are some other ones that are really big and really popular now, like New York Comic-Con in particular. I mean, so there are others that have, there's C2E2 up in Chicago. There's a bunch of these that have really gained
Corpus
a lot
Christi
of steam.
Comic-Con. I'm kidding. Go on. Sorry.
Wow. Yeah.
I had to get that one in there. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Is there such a thing as Corpus Christi Comic-Con?
No one lives there. Yeah.
Well, people live in Corpus
I'm
Christi,
kidding.
Texas.
I love Corpus.
Anyway, so there's other ones out there, but again, to your point, do you have to focus just on San Diego? Has that train kind of left the station? Star Wars hasn't been there really in any kind of presence in a while now, so in the movies in particular. So it'll be interesting to see what the future of comic conventions are with big movies and big blockbusters and big things. I think they're still going to be really prevalent for Marvel and company because that's still kind of their sweet spot around.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense.
All right, so a couple more things. These are really fast ones here just before we wrap up is that Amazon Prime Day is here, basically. It starts tomorrow, Monday. Well, does it start on the 10th or the 11th of July?
I think it's 11th and 12th, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's correct, yeah. But I think, though, if you go to the Amazon Prime Day gaming area, though, however, I believe starting the 10th, you can get The Force Unleashed for free on PC. So if you are a PC gamer or if you have a PC that can run it and you've not played Force Unleashed, or maybe you have and it's been a while and you don't have it, then you might go out there and look at this starting tomorrow, July 10th, and see if you can download it for free. I know you and I are going to go do that.
Yep. There's actually more than that. I know that's one that people are looking for, but there are a number of Star Wars games that they're giving away here on the 11th and 12th. I was trying to pull up the full list, but yeah, I mean, this is the big deal, the big thing. And there's all kinds of deals too that they've already released. And a lot of that is, we were talking about some of the Apple stuff that's already out there. So some of the prices are live now, I guess is what we're saying.
Sure.
And you can go ahead and get them now. But yeah, there's all kinds of Star Wars games that are both free and it's kind of weird. It's kind of wonky the way you get it. It's not like you can go download it. You have to buy something, they give you a code, then you go to another website, you throw in that code, and then you download it, and then you get the game. So it's not as straightforward, but I mean, if you're looking for free stuff and you're an Amazon Prime member, this is just part of your benefits. So
yeah, they usually partner up with one of the other, gaming, like your Steam type of places, and I'm not sure which one they do it through, but just go ahead and Google Amazon gaming, Amazon Prime Gaming, and it'll get you to the right place. You'll see it out there. If you're a Diablo 4 fan, they had a downloaded mount, I think, out there. They've always got stuff out there, World of Warcraft, all sorts of games out there. So if you're an Amazon Prime member, you might just go out there and subscribe to that so you get notified of extra benefits you get. All you have to do is go and claim, and then it just links up with your account, and it's good to go.
You're such an Amazon shill, I swear.
We're not sponsored by Amazon whatsoever, by the way.
We're not. We're just like Amazon.
But everybody, it's like the one thing that everybody actually has, though. That it's the one common service that we all have, it seems like, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Bezos.
Right. So going back to Target earlier, and this is kind of our last one here, is that starting now, it's already live through July 15th, is you can get 20% off on the PS5 or the Xbox Series X versions of Jedi Survivor. So if you have not picked up this game and you were really interested and you were waiting for a markdown, you didn't get your markdown on, a couple of months ago when other sales were happening, this might be the time for you to go and grab it for 20% off. Again, it seems like it is worth every dollar and more than that of what you ended up paying. So again, you might go over to Target. I've only seen it over at Target right now. They just happened to see an ad for them and saw that in there. So again, just the PS5 and the Xbox Series X version though. So I know that limits it a little bit to the higher end of the newer consoles, but again, if you've been on the fence about it, you might go out there and check that out.
Yeah. I was just checking to see if Amazon hasn't done anything with that game. Yep.
Yeah, it was really odd that of all companies, Target was the one leading away with a sale on that one. I didn't see any other Star Wars games on sale, through Target or some of the other ones when I just did a cursory glance, because other companies will try to compete with Amazon a little bit so they don't lose all of the business. They just lose some of it or most of it.
Yeah.
So they will try to keep up a little bit. So you might go check your Walmarts and your Targets and some of your other big box retailers that can keep up with that type of thing. Maybe your Best Buys if you're looking for something in particular. Because sometimes those will come up and they'll have some good deals. You can go out there and grab something, and sometimes you get Star Wars related. I did do a bit of a general search though. There is a lot of stuff out there, but again, no serious markdowns that were really worth noting overall.
Yeah, and sorry, I want to clarify something. I misspoke here. It's not free Star Wars games. Force Unleashed is the only one they're giving away free for Prime Day, but then they're also giving away, there's like a couple of Dungeons and Dragons games. There's like 5 or 6 games they're giving away free total.
Right.
So if you're a Prime member, you get more than just Force Unleashed, but you won't
Yeah,
get
and again, this goes on all year long. So this isn't a special time necessarily for them to do this. They're always giving away little add-on packs and things like that, or little mounts or companions or whatever the game is you like. They have little things that they'll give away from time to time, especially for some of the bigger games. I know I've gotten a lot of things for World of Warcraft through it in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
it's always a lot of fun just to get a little something extra. They're usually cosmetic. They're usually not game breaking, but every once.
and it's a great game, honestly. Force Unleashed, sorry, but Galen Starkiller and just that whole storyline, the cutscenes, even the voice acting, I thought was pretty darn good considering they weren't the original voice actors. Not canon, it's Legends for sure, but it's so freaking fun to play.
Yeah, I mean, and Sam Witwer was is the main
Galen
character.
Starkiller,
so, yeah. So how can you not love it, right? And again, I was reading some reviews of people when I was kind of digging into this a little bit, and apparently the game has held up fairly well. And I think it's mostly because of, if you're going to compare it with Jedi Survivor or Fallen Order, the mechanics they've just evolved and grown so much over the last many years since this game has come out. But the story itself, the characters, the way that they implement it, and the kind of the over the top nature of it, still make it a lot of fun. And so a lot of people were still very, glowing about this game, even after all these years, and even amidst having really fantastic games that have now come out in the last few years, that appeal to more of a current gaming crowd. But apparently it does hold its own pretty well. And like you said, it's one of these games that you feel like you just have to go through and play, because this game is so over the top. It just makes it over the top fun, but also a really fun story with kind of alternate endings too, that you can help define where you go on your path.
Yeah, it's like the proverbial arcade experience, but but with really good dialogue, really good voice acting, a story that's pretty much believable. I mean, where else are you going to be able to take down a Star Destroyer with the Force? Or
completely like blow apart stormtroopers. I mean, it's straight out of Old Republic, right? I mean, this is the stuff that was happening in the Old Republic novels with Darth Bane and Darth Xana and some of these other ones. They were literally blowing people apart into pieces. So still
fun times.
Pretty cool. I know, great. Good family entertainment. But yeah, lots of fun. And I think that's our news, unless you had anything surprising in the background there.
I do, but we'll save it for Thursday. Little thing right there, if you can see that. But yeah, we'll save that for Thursday. No, that's, again, short and sweet, about 38 minutes, I think, all in. So thanks, everybody, for coming out. Do you want to give some quick shout-outs for the folks in the audience tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Albert said at the beginning of the show, if you are listening to this and you'd like to watch us, cantinacast.com/YouTube, you can come out and watch the live streams. You can go check out Lauren on Jedi Novel Archive, again, Inquisitor, Rise of the Red Blade. But I want to give a special thank you to the folks who came out for the live stream tonight. 80s Kid from the 90s, Chef Chris, good to see you, my friend. It's been a while. Jonathan, Sky, Alex, Lauren, Staff Music Train, Jorge, Kathy. If I missed anyone, not intentional. We see you all the folks in the background too. Thank you all for coming out again. If you want to watch the show rather than listen, cantinacast.com/YouTube. This one is open to everybody. If you are a Patreon member, please do go check Patreon, because at 10 p.m. tonight, here in about 20 minutes, we're going to invite some folks on. We're going to talk a little season 2 of Star Wars Rebels, top 3 moments, and all of we'll see how long this show goes, because I don't know how this is going to work for the next few weeks, because there are so many honorable mentions that it's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's going to be, it was difficult. And we'll talk about this at the very beginning of the show, top of the show, about how difficult it was to narrow this down to just top 3 for season 2, when so much happens in season 2. And we have so many new characters in season 2 of Rebels. And I think it's going to get harder. Honestly, it gets more difficult, in my opinion, at least when we get to season 3, and especially season 4, because 4 seems like every episode was pretty significant in some way, at least had one significant moment. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a 2-hour show. We'll have to see. I'll gauge the facial expressions and the body language to see how many people are really tired. And based on that, we'll kind of trim things up. But it's going to be a lot of fun.
I had a hard time just narrowing down my top 3 Hondo moments.
I had a hard time narrowing down my top 3 Chopper moments, because he's got a number of like quips and really,
man, like when he starts dual wielding blasters.
yeah, we'll get into all those.
It made my list, but it didn't make my top 3. So
right,
anyway. Yeah. But no, if you're interested, come out there and check that out. It starts at this is the way tier. So this is the way tier and up if you like to watch it tonight live. Otherwise, you'll be able to hear it here in the next couple of days.
Good. All right. We'll see you guys in about 17 minutes if you're staying on with us for season 2. Otherwise, we'll see you guys back here on Thursday.
You're still listening? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property, and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me, and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.